It's called The View?
It's called The View. It's not called The Facts.
Yeah, but
It's
isn't it interesting that it's called, I mean, I don't think they meant this when Barbara Walters invented it a long time ago, but it's The View.
Well,
that's the problem in America.
But
there is one view,
right, and
one
that's clearly
true opinion, and everybody else can go sit in the corner.
That's correct.
Sunny Hostin just got tag-teamed by Bill Maher and Megyn Kelly in a verbal demolition so brutal it might require a UN investigation. One minute she was confidently sipping tea on The View, the next she was metaphorically face-planting into her cue cards. What happened on live TV left her blinking like she'd seen her Wi-Fi bill buckle up, because this showdown had more twists than a reality show scripted by caffeine-fueled interns.
They're disgusting. She's Anna Navarro in your wildest imagination. You could never solo host a show. You will only ever make it as part of an ensemble, and you could never hope to achieve the success that Tucker Carlson has. So you can sit in your little cheap seats all day long and enjoy your little negative henpecking, but your careers are going nowhere, and Tucker is about to dominate.
Bill Maher and Megyn Kelly, two people who've never needed an excuse to be blunt, decided they'd had enough of Sunny's intellectual dominance. Maher's dry, scorched earth sarcasm meets Megyn Kelly's icy calm dissection, and suddenly Sunny's soapbox starts looking more like a wobbly IKEA stool. The whole thing felt less like a debate and more like an academic demolition derby, one where Sunny was armed with a glitter glue stick and the others brought bulldozers.
I want to talk about Whoopi Goldberg because I got so many texts this week because she attacked me the week before.
Sure.
So she was, everybody was like, oh, Bill, I get you're enjoying the karma. First of all, I'm going to talk about this at the end of my show next week, teaser. But there is no fucking thing as karma, okay? Get over that. Whoopi attacks me on a regular basis. She says stupid shit on a regular basis. It just happened to coincide. But
let's start with Sunny's favorite pastime, weaponizing her law degree like a lightsaber from the School of Smug. Her credentials are practically tattooed on her forehead at this point. Former federal prosecutor, legal expert, professional finger wagger, but let's be honest, anytime someone begins a sentence with, as a lawyer, you can be 100% certain that what follows will either be wildly inaccurate, painfully obvious, or just plain obnoxious. Sunny manages to do all three simultaneously. It's like a legal TED Talk with none of the facts and all of the moral superiority.
That hot mess that they air in the mornings called The View had to issue not one, not two, not three, but 4 corrections, legal corrections, 4 legal notes. Not to mention what they did at that debate, where once again, they tried to fact check only one side. And then when their fact checks got fact checked, they cowered. They cowered in fear. I mean, this is a pattern with them.
What's especially charming is Sunny's ability to turn literally any topic, whether TikTok trends or the proper storage temperature for mayonnaise, into a discourse about racial injustice. She could see a puppy rescue and still make it about systemic oppression. It's like watching a human version of Twitter, loud, performative, and deeply committed to misunderstanding everything on purpose. I mean, just look at how confused she can be. Even Whoopi could not stand her partner's disaster.
Any term you want. Okay. Because maybe that is a word that's triggering, and so let's not use that word. I don't know, want to call it the super far left, but don't tell me the left
or maybe the super far right. Well, he's talking about the left. Well, then
okay, but we talked about that. I mean, I think we agree about the danger of the super far right, and I can't say it enough. I think they're the bigger threat. But don't tell me that the left hasn't changed. I mean, I'm old enough to remember when it was the conservatives who hated the Jews.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sunny Hostin didn't just get challenged, she got steamrolled in a philosophical demolition derby, and the only thing she managed to salvage was her signature frown of moral disappointment. It's one thing to have strong opinions, it's another to turn every conversation into a sermon atop Mount Condescension. And yet that's Sunny's whole brand. She's not having a discussion, she's performing a courtroom drama where she's the star, the jury, and the applause sign all at once. The problem? Bill Maher and Megyn Kelly don't read from that script. They don't need the audience to stand up and cheer every time they breathe, they just drop facts, wit, and logic, and suddenly Sunny's TED Talk energy turns into a bad improv show where nobody's laughing, even when cornered by basic truths. Sunny doesn't adapt, she doubles down as if louder equals smarter.
And finally, new rule. Stop saying that Whoopi Goldberg getting yanked from The View right after she attacked me on The View is karma. There's no such thing as karma. Sorry. Sorry, but life is random. The only word to describe it when a big game hunter gets trampled by an elephant and then eaten by lions is hilarious.
Maher, seasoned and unbothered with his well-worn routine, watched with the detached amusement of a professor grading yet another freshman essay titled, "Why I'm Always Right." He didn't interrupt. He didn't need to. Her monologue unraveled itself with every sanctimonious breath. Sunny dug herself deeper into a rhetorical hole lined with buzzwords, overhears, outrage, and the unmistakable stench of self-congratulation. Then came Kelly, poised, razor-sharp, and almost surgical in her dismantling of the spectacle. She didn't raise her voice or lean on theatrics. Instead, she peeled away the veneer of Sunny's faux gravitas, layer by layer, exposing what was left, a hollow echo chamber of recycled indignation.
They had a discussion on The View about world superpowers from the sound of it. That's how they got into it. And Sunny Hostin made some comments about patriotism and America and Black America. It's all in there, Jason. I mean, it's all in there. I'm going to tee it up. It starts with Alyssa Farah, who's supposed to be the Republican commentator. And then you'll hear Sunny jump in. Listen.
If America is not the #1 global power, it's not going to be Denmark. It's going to be communist China, a country that right now the government is imprisoning Uyghur Muslims in concentration camps. It is a deeply racist government. It's a human rights violating government. It is a government that if they are the leader of the free world, we are not a free world the way that we are right now.
The notion of patriotism and the notion of America and the American flag has been co-opted by the right as if they are true patriots. But when I listen to Christopher Wray, the head of the FBI, he said white supremacy is the biggest domestic threat to this country.
Sunny's entire shtick hinges on one thing: never being challenged. She thrives in monologue, not dialogue. Accuse, dramatize, moralize, that's her go-to cocktail. But when someone like Kelly calmly pokes a hole in that carefully inflated balloon, the deflation is both immediate and irreversible. What followed wasn't a minor slip or a rhetorical misstep. It was a full-blown ideological faceplant. Because when your entire persona is built atop the fragile scaffolding of moral superiority, even the gentlest whisper of dissent sounds like a seismic tremor. And this time, that fragile house of cards didn't just wobble, it disintegrated in spectacular, cringe-inducing fashion.
Donald Trump will be sworn in as the 47th president of the United States, yay, on January 20th of this month. Not everyone's happy about it, and many people would like us to be more focused on the insurrection that he personally unleashed. If you ask them, as we discussed earlier, they think it's as bad as like the Holocaust, and you don't have to take my word for it. Here is Sunny Hostin of
January
The View
6th was an
today.
atrocity. It was one of the worst moments in American history. And when you think about the worst moments in American history, like World War II, things that happened, like the Holocaust, chattel slavery.
Yeah, the January 6th is right up there next to the Holocaust and slavery.
Megyn Kelly, whose mere existence seems to trigger Sunny Hostin like a fire alarm in a nap room. It's almost impressive how consistently Sunny's voice jumps an octave the moment Megyn's name enters the chat. Megyn has this rare and apparently scandalous superpower: the ability to use facts in a coherent sentence on The View that's treated like sorcery. If you cite data or walk through a logical timeline without a dramatic hair flip or existential meltdown, you're clearly a danger to their ecosystem. While Sunny clutches her pearls over yet another imaginary political apocalypse, this week's version brought to you by Vague Vibes and MSNBC, Megyn calmly, annoyingly cleared the air on the true nature of Sunny. She cites sources, she uses statistics, she speaks without shrieking. It's a horrifying display of composure and literacy, the two things most feared on the View panel.
I want you to note the tone they all talk with him. I want you to look at Sunny Hostin's body language and the way they look at him and everything else. Just because he is a lefty who hasn't gone completely bananas, here they are talking about the word woke.
The term woke has been, in my view, co-opted by the right and weaponized and bastardized. And so I was surprised to hear you use the term because historically, as you know, because I think you're quite brilliant, that woke is a word used by the black community to note that we must be aware of social injustices.
But words
and so
migrate.
why is that a bad thing?
It's not a bad thing, and originally that was absolutely a great thing. Alert to injustice, who's not for that? But words do migrate.
Sonny's out here armed with smoke bombs, emotional outbursts, and interpretive dance moves that symbolize oppression. Meanwhile, Megyn's precision-guided missiles of reason calmly dismantle the narrative scaffolding. It's like watching someone bring a coloring book to a chess tournament and then get mad that the other player knows how the pieces move. You could feel Sonny's neurons short-circuiting in real time. Every time Kelly brought up something rooted in data, logic, or history, Sonny's only defense was to retreat into her fortress of indignation. It's like watching someone argue that 2 + 2 equals systemic injustice, then get angry when someone pulls out a calculator. You half expect her to scream, "How dare you bring math into this?" And don't get me started on Sonny's war on comedy. For someone who allegedly understands law and society, she seems weirdly allergic to jokes. To her, sarcasm is hate speech and satire is emotional assault.
Whoopi Goldberg was angry when Alyssa pointed out that Trump went to the funeral of Officer Diller.
Yes.
On Long Island, and Joe Biden went to a podcast. Look at Whoopi Goldberg's reaction.
Choose what you like there, but for Republicans, it was good imagery.
Really?
One day later, yes.
And I'm asking that because I was so offended because you know who showed up.
Yeah.
And he was, whether he was asked or not. This
But he
is a
was
man
invited.
who didn't care what happened to the officers on January 6th.
She promotes Joe Biden and Kamala Harris every day on that show. Trump wasn't supportive enough of the cops who were, yes, in danger on J 6th. How does that explain their behavior on a daily basis?
It's 2025, and somehow this woman still hasn't grasped the concept that comedians, by definition, make fun of everyone. That's literally their job. Expecting Bill Maher not to poke fun at public figures is like walking into a bakery and getting outraged that they're selling bread. And yet, every single time Maher so much as hails Sunny Hostin, reacts like someone just stood on a table and read her middle school diary aloud. Complete with doodles and that one failed poem about justice, she clutches her pearls and gasps, "How dare he?" as if personal offense is now a valid counterpoint in a comedy monologue. But the true fiesta? Resistance. Her painfully awkward attempt to out-intellectual Maher and Megyn Kelly in real time. She started flinging historical references with all the precision of a toddler hurling spaghetti at a wall, messy, desperate, and with no clue where anything's going. She lobbed half-baked legal jargon like grenades with no pins, hoping to sound profound, but ended up sounding like someone who just discovered Wikipedia that morning. If this were a courtroom, the stenographer would just write incoherent babble and threaten to unionize out of protest.
Last week you called white Republican women cockroach.
Actually, I didn't. And
You said they're acting like cockroaches.
I used in a similar. Let me answer that. I used a metaphor. Here's what I'm going to ask you all to do. Here's what I'm going to ask you to do.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm going to ask you to tone it down a bit because I can't hear anything. No one can hear what's being said.
She just said I called white women
why
roaches.
people
All right, we're going to go to break. We're going to break. Can't take it.
Bill Maher, cool as a cucumber in a cryogenic freezer, just sat there letting Sonny's tirades ricochet off him like Nerf darts on a concrete wall. This isn't his first rodeo. He's been wading through ideological minefields since dial-up internet was a thing. You could practically see the decades of media experience roll their eyes. Every time Sonny tried to nail him to a metaphorical cross of righteous indignation, she was attempting what she clearly thought was a grand show-stopping closing argument, the kind that gets clipped and posted by 23 Instagram accounts with names like Woke Warrior Queen. But Maher was already halfway through his third glass of red wine, mentally Googling what time his flight home was.
And by the way, out there, that hat that you keep wearing, that red hat that says "Make America Great Again," that tells people that you go along with this. So you might as well just put a swastika on the hat.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
Because we see it anyway.
I'm not going to defend Donald Trump ever, but I would never say that we should put the swastika on the cap, because I think you can hate Donald Trump. You can't hate everybody who likes him. It's half the country. I don't want to live in that country. I don't want to live in the country where I hate half the country, and I don't hate half the country.
How dare you disagree with me?
Megyn Kelly didn't even bother raising her voice. She didn't need to. Her rebuttals were so razor sharp and calmly delivered. Sunny looked like she was being politely dismantled by someone who'd already filled out her credibility's death certificate. It wasn't a debate, it was an exorcism, with Megyn playing the role of the stone-cold cleric and Sunny flailing around trying to convince the audience that reality was just another opinion. And let's address the real tragedy here. Sunny Hostin's complete, unwavering belief that her moral outrage is always justified. She walks around like her opinions are the 10 Commandments, and anyone who disagrees is a heretic who must be publicly shamed. She doesn't debate, she performs an exorcism with bullet points. It's not even a conversation. It's a judgment ceremony where she's judge, jury, and prosecutor, and the viewer is expected to applaud in between the commercials for laxatives and menopause supplements. This would all be fine if she were at least interesting, but no. Sunny's version of enlightenment is a cocktail of condescension, cherry-picked stats, and emotionally manipulative anecdotes. She'll give a 10-minute monologue about systemic inequity using a Starbucks menu as her primary source. By the time she's done, you're less enlightened and more confused about whether you're allowed to have opinions anymore. And what's truly ironic is that Sunny considers herself a defender of women, until a woman disagrees with her. Then suddenly, sisterhood turns into full-blown combat. When Megyn Kelly dared to suggest that not all disagreements stem from racism or sexism, Sunny looked ready to revoke her woman card on the spot. Because nothing says empowerment like aggressively gatekeeping who gets to have thoughts. But perhaps the highlight of this televised educational meltdown came when Sunny tried to pivot from losing the debate to playing the moral victim. That's her signature move. When she runs out of logic, she switches to feelings, and when those run dry, it's time to accuse the other person of being dangerous to democracy, puppies, and brunch. The range is incredible. Bill Maher, of course, doesn't play those games. He simply points out how ridiculous everything has become and leaves Sunny sputtering into her microphone, trying to salvage whatever dignity she has left, which, to be fair, is now buried under a landslide of Twitter threads, deleted hot takes, and the collective sighs of millions of viewers who just wanted to hear someone say something coherent. Sunny Hostin collapsing in real time is less about physical collapse and more about the implosion of a worldview that can't handle the friction of reality. She thought she was going to save democracy by yelling louder. Instead, she got a crash course in logic, humor, and the revolutionary idea that maybe, just maybe, she's not always the smartest person, especially when it includes people who don't need cue cards to function. And while her fans will undoubtedly call it a brave stand, the rest of us saw it for what it was. A tantrum in heels, desperately clinging to the illusion of moral clarity. In a world where everyone else is just tired of the shrieking, there's a reason people mute their TVs. When Sunny talks, it's not because they disagree, it's because they'd rather listen to a dentist drill than hear another 10-minute lecture on why laughter is oppression. Because in the end, no matter how loud she yells, no matter how passionately she clutches her pearls, and no matter how many times she tells you she's right, nothing can change the fact that Sunny Hostin just got absolutely torched on live television, and the ashes, they spell one word: overexposed.